What is up, crew? Welcome to another episode of Seek the Edge podcast with me, Kelsey Lensman, where our mission is to challenge you outside of your comfort zone so you can tap into the God-given potential inside. And if you would listen back to a few episodes ago, we had someone on named Annette, and she owns Season Journals. And we talked about being intentional with time, and she had what was called the wellness wheel, where she had different areas of your life, whether it be physical or emotional or spiritual, financial, and you were to rate 0 to 10 where you're at in those different areas. And as we were talking through it, the light bulb went off in my brain that I just feel very excited to share with you of when we're talking about seeking discomfort or we're talking about stepping out of your comfort zone. Many people can take that as just pushing physically, which, yes, we still have to force the growth. We have to push in our physical training and to set the big physical goal, whether that be hiking a mountain, whether that be hitting a PR this year. All of that still is incredibly important. And last year I ran a 100-miler. It's something that challenged me outside of my comfort zone. I needed that focus. I was excited about training towards it. But also with our message of expanding your limits and of stepping out of your comfort zone, my goal isn't just to have you have so many medals on your little medal thing and rack up these achievements. My goal with expanding your limits and my goal with challenging you outside your comfort zone is so you get to understand that there's so much more potential within you and you become more you. That is one of the greatest gifts that, in my opinion, God has given us. Is He's given us different gifts for a reason. He's given us different passions. He's given us different values. He's given us different things that we're good at. And when I can seek that discomfort, when I step out of my comfort zone, whether that be emotionally and I share with somebody how I'm actually feeling, whether that be financially and setting a budget and sticking to a budget, when I do something that I normally don't do, but that elicits growth, what that is doing is that's allowing you to tap into that God-given potential inside. And what the ultimate goal is you get to feel more energy, you get more love, you get more fulfillment, you get to become more you. And I'm telling you, when you feel like you are walking in step with why you are here, when you are walking in step with the God-given potential and focus that He has for you here, there is no other feeling like it. It does not mean that it's easy. I will tell you, as much as I feel convicted and that I meant here to share this message, it doesn't mean that I just wake up and I'm so beautifully excited to conquer my to-do list today. But it means that there's a level of fulfillment that He has called you to and that is meant for you. And that is the whole premise of stepping out of your comfort zone, is acknowledging the lies that we believe in our head about ourselves. I'm not able to. They can, but I'm not able, or they can, but, oh, I can't do that thing. All of these lies that we believe in our abilities, all of these lies that we believe in our impact. And when we can exchange those lies for the truth that is actually real, the truth that He calls you to, the truth that is within you, you become literally unstoppable. And so that is the goal with this podcast, is for you to become more you. And when we're talking about that goal and we're talking about becoming that best version of you, the fittest version mentally, the fittest version physically, the fittest version spiritually, there's something that always comes about, and that the motivation to pursue that will fade. It's inevitable. The motivation to fuel your body well with a good amount of protein when that cookie's right there, it's going to fade for a period of time. And we can get excited when we are on the onset of the goals. We get excited when it's the new year and we're ready for a fresh start. And then we get a couple months in and we're like, ooh, it's not so exciting anymore. Or also when we do it and we are consistent and then that little voice creeps up of, well, Kelsey, you don't need to go work out today. You've been so consistent, girl, in the last couple weeks. Just push this one off to later. But then later comes and we just keep pushing it off. And what happens is we slowly start to drift. Is we don't necessarily 180 our lives, but we slowly start to drift from the habits that are actually getting and being in alignment with what serves us and what's going to make us that best version of us. And I will tell you firsthand, we literally all experience this. We experience the motivation fade. We experience the doubts and hesitation. We experience where the process of it eventually gets boring. And one thing that I tell a lot of our crew when it comes to fitness is be consistent in the boring. It is not exciting to drink your water every day. It is not exciting to be consistent training 4 times a week without a crazy PR hit. It's not exciting to go to bed at the similar time and wake up at the similar time. But it's the boring work that is going to lead to the biggest change in your life. And so we all experience that a little bit of boredom in our routines that really serve us. We all experience a little bit of that motivation fade. And this is when what I'm about to share with you matters the most. And that is, am I committed or am I contingent? Being committed, that means that you have that goal that you're working towards. You have that version of you that you're ready and wanting to become, whether it be getting stronger in your fitness or your faith or whatever that may be. And that means that I am focused on pursuing that version of me. I'm focused on pursuing that goal, regardless of the curveballs that I'm met, regardless of the motivation that's fade. But then there's another side of it where you can also be contingent. And what it means to be contingent is you'll do it if you feel like doing it. It means you'll do it if your motivation is there. It means you'll do it if your schedule allows. And that's where progress can become optional. Committed means, hey, I'm going to figure out a way. I will figure out a way to fit it in my schedule. I will figure out a way to shift my priorities if this is something that I prioritize to make it happen. Contingent is like, I really want the progress, but I only want it if I feel motivated that day. You're not outright saying this. I will tell you, nobody says, I only want progress if it fits in my schedule or if I feel good that day. Nobody says that from the beginning. But what happens is they don't realize they're thinking that. And how we understand that they're thinking it is by the outcome of what happens. And let me preface this with, I am not perfect, not even close to being perfect, whether it be in my business or my fitness. I don't beautifully execute every single day, every single week throughout the whole year. It's just not growth. That's like, you're human. However, when I'm consistently not following through with it, I have to ask myself a really deep question. Is it A, I'm just trying to overcommit to things and it's really not a priority for me, even if I kind of want it to be? And so I either have to understand, okay, this goal that I have to either shift the goal or I have to shift my prioritization of what it takes to get that goal. I can't have both. So I need to identify that. Or I have to ask myself the question of, Kelsey, are you being contingent right now? Are you just not feeling energized or excited or wanting to do the thing? Which anything genuinely worth pursuing, there is going to be some resistance that pulls up. There is going to be some of that adversity that gets thrown your way. And when we can be honest with ourselves and genuinely ask ourselves, okay, am I committed to it or am I just contingent to it? We don't get emotional about what that decision is, but that decision will then determine our outcome. Okay? And as I've started this year off, I've actually been starting to slowly write the book that I've had the outline with forever. And one of the chapters in this book is about the tests. And what the tests are it's resistance that comes your way. It's the day that you drop all your food on the floor that was actually beautifully planned out, where your alarm doesn't go off, where that thing gets put on your schedule, where nothing feels like it's working out. That's resistance. Or it can be the internal resistance of, man, like, why am I wrestling with this a little bit? We all experience some resistance. And what I share about in the book, the whole premise of this chapter is that tests and resistance are not signs that you can't do it. Tests and resistance are not signs that you should quit. Tests and resistance are not signs that you're not meant or called to do the thing. It's just building you and preparing you for you actually becoming the person that can achieve that goal or that has the capacity to handle that thing. And even as me this far in my fitness journey or in business or the certain things that I've done, resistance does not feel good. It does not feel good. And I always have to be honest with myself and ask myself, okay, is this resistance that are just curveballs that I need to really push through? Or is this telling me, hey, Kels, you're out of alignment here? Or hey, Kels, there's something, you got to look a little bit deeper underneath the hood. But a lot of times, if it's just resistance that I still want to pursue the thing that I am, it's still a priority for me, I still value it. It's just, I'm just getting kind of a crap storm here, or I'm getting a lot of curveballs. It's okay. For me, with God, as I have him also, me and him, we can go into that battle. We can go into that storm. I can go in with confidence, not knowing that this is going to break me, but knowing that this is going to build me. And so that test that you're experiencing, that test where it asks you if you're committed or contingent, that resistance that asks you, you just want to do this when you feel good? Or do you want to do this when it actually matters? It's not going to be a test that stops you. It's a test that builds you at the end of the day. And when we can understand that, when we can see that resistance as like a little, all right, like you're trying me today. It ain't gonna win today. Like you gave me a curveball. It's not happening today. And I'm gonna figure out a way. When you show up for yourself to that extent, and then at the end of the day or at the end of the week, you go to bed proud and you're proud of the actions that you've done. You're proud of you figuring it out. You're proud of how you showed up that day. I am telling you, there is no other feeling in the world than that. Okay. Like I said, this does not mean you're going to be perfect every single day and that you're just going to beautifully pass every single test. There's going to be days that are tough. There's going to be moments that feel defeating to you. But just to feel defeating in a moment does not mean you're defeated in the grand scheme of it. And as I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about the test and resistance and committed and contingent and all of those things, as many of you know, last year I've dove in a lot deeper into my faith and just like my eyes were opened. And so I wanted to, as I was reading some passages this morning and preparing for this podcast, there's a lot of different biblical examples on commitment as well. Whether this be Moses that endured the resistance, whether this be Daniel that endured the testing, is with that resistance and with those tests, it wasn't to prove that they could not do it. It wasn't to prove that God wasn't with them. It wasn't to prove that they're not made for that thing. But it was to build their character, and it was to also deepen their reliance with God, deepen their reliance on God and for God. And one of my favorite verses there is Hebrews 12:11. It says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those that have been trained by it." It says it right there. We talk about this in the personal development world. Discipline equals freedom and stay consistent, all of those things. But even the Bible talks about this. And so when we can stay committed towards that goal, when you can focus on, man, I really want to better myself and it is worth me putting in the time, effort, and energy, I'm telling you the fruit that comes after you being faithful and you being persistent towards that goal, y'all better watch out. It gets so, so good. And so what I want you to focus on is not the resistance. What I want you to focus on is the fruit that comes from being committed, is the fruit that comes from being perseverant to that goal, is the fruit that is ahead and that lies ahead, but that you need to shift your eyes from the adversity that you're going to withstand towards him and then also towards where you want to go. A couple of years ago, I was listening to a podcast and they use this beautiful example that it's great when we're talking about focus. And they say whenever they're training NASCAR drivers and race car drivers, that whenever they're about to turn and about to kind of hit a corner or about to spin out, what their brain wants to do is they want to focus on where they're headed. And usually where they're headed is the wall, especially if they're not going in a good trajectory. But what the coaches of those drivers say is they focus, put your head towards the center of the track. Focus on where you want to go. Don't focus on where you're headed right now. And I love that example because the same thing happens with us in our life, in our focus, in our day-to-day. We so often want to focus, well, where are we headed? Or what are all the what ifs of the bad situations that could happen? When we have to physically, once again, our body wants to go in this direction, but we have to physically shift our focus and focus on where do we want to go? Or if you're a woman of faith or a man of faith, focus on, Jesus, where are you calling me into? And focus on him and focus on his promises that are going to lead you there. Okay. And so on the other side of that committed or contingent, on the other side of that, you sticking to it, there is so much peace, excitement, next level version of you, self-trust. But you also don't get the fruit without staying planted. And so we need to continually ask ourselves and be honest with ourselves with that question and lead ourselves in that direction where shifting our focus from what's going on in the test to shifting our focus towards where we want to go and who we want to become. I'm telling you, that is going to be the game changer. But I have 4 main focuses here on how to stay committed when it's hard. And the reason why I want to do this episode at the time frame that it's dropping is because it's going to be end of January. It's going to be beginning of February. This is where there's actually a literally day called Quitter's Day when a lot of people start to drop off. And that's because the motivation, the willpower starts to fade. And this is where we have to be honest with ourselves of, are we committed towards that goal or are we just contingent with what that goal is? And so 3/4 ways to stay committed is, number 1, get community around you. Annette and I talked about this in a few podcasts back, but when you share your goal or you share your process with somebody externally and you share what you're doing and they can be accountable with you and they can come support you, that is the biggest game changer for somebody. And so invite somebody to hold you accountable, invite somebody into your goals. And don't isolate when it gets hard. A lot of the women that we coach, I'm very proud of them because they can have a tendency that whenever it gets hard or whenever they're not showing up the way that they really desire to show up, people can have a tendency to slowly start to fade in the back, slowly start to not do a check-in, slowly start to not communicate as much. And we're human, that happens. But what I really encourage them is just be honest with me and be honest with you. When I can lean in, when you can lean in when it gets tough, instead of slowly start to pull yourself back, that's where the true growth is going to come from. So number 1, get community around you. Number 2, this goes off of our Process Focus podcast, is make it a part of your schedule. One of the women that I coached, she was having trouble figuring out where to put workouts. And she was saying, I'm getting them in, but they're kind of go towards the late of the night or late of the day. And she said an epiphany came when she said that she should schedule her workouts in her calendar. And I'm like, yes, that is exactly it. When I make it a part of my schedule and it's on my calendar, especially if you're somebody that you live by that Google Calendar like I do, when it's on there, I make it an appointment just like I would meeting with somebody to talk about a business or something with regards to it. So make it a part of your schedule and also schedule that quiet time in. Okay, treat it like a non-negotiable in there. A lot of times when we are questioning if I'm committed, there's just a lot, you got a lot on your plate right now. And the question is, can we be intentional with what we have and are we making it a part of our schedule? Number 3 is remember why and where you're headed. When I can revisit that vision, which is why we do a lot of vision planning with our crew at the beginning of the year, but when I can refocus that vision towards where I'm headed, and remind myself, oh, this is what I want. This is where I'm going. And I can stay intentional with that and then zoom out when when I get tempted to quit, that allows me to stay committed towards it. We talked about last podcast with the process focus about my bodybuilding journey. And I cannot tell you how many times in that journey, I almost came close to, oh, I can't do this, or oh, just quitting. But what I had to do is I had to zoom out. Okay, I'm having a tough moment. It's not forever. But I also had to zoom out. It's like, what's my vision? Kels, my vision is to go do that thing. You can do it. You're in the thick of it right now. And so when I remember why, when I remember that vision, when you remember maybe the people that you're also doing it for, that helps you so much take steps forward. And then if you are a believer, what I would recommend more than anything that I have leaned onto a lot this past year is ask him for help. Pray about it. Ask him for help. You do not have to white knuckle your way through life. When I started to slowly release my grip of control and start to pray about things versus try to muscle my way through, it is amazing that the doors that were opened, or it was also amazing the things that I struggled with that in a moment or overnight seemed to go away. This doesn't mean I still don't struggle with certain things. We're human, that's life. But when I was able to actually ask for help with somebody else and specifically with him, that is the biggest game changer. Okay. Strength comes from surrender, not self-will or self-control. Okay. So I'm going to bring it back home real quick outside of the studio. I have to share this with you. Outside of the studio, there's this little 2-year-old that is the cutest little kid, and his dad told him to be quiet, and now he's slowly creeping. That's the best. Oh, it's so good. That's what you get. So to bring it back home is motivation will fade. It happens. You're human. This is where discipline will feel uncomfortable. Okay. But commitment is what actually builds the life that you desire. We see this biblically. We see this actually in our day to day. And so what I want you to ask yourself is, where have you been contingent? Where have I been wavering? Where have I been waiting if I feel good or if I feel energized to do it when it's time to be committed? Have I been contingent or am I being committed? And when I can stay the course, I'm telling you the fruit that will come for that, it gets so, so good. So my goal for you is to become that best version of you. My goal for you is to become all that you can become. And that does take commitment. That does take persistence. But man, when you got a crew around you and you have people that just want to see you win, as I want to see you win, you will notice so much potential that you didn't even know was within you. Okay, have an amazing rest of your day. Keep crushing it, and I'll see y'all soon.